just finishing up my workout, so please pardon the appearance. If I look tired, I am. Workout was good. It's hot outside today, but I'm glad I got it in. Today is July 1st, 2025, and I am very excited to be entering the second half of the year. As we enter the second half of the year, I want to put some things into perspective for you. The second half of the year is probably, the next 4 months are probably the best period of time that you have left to try to make some progress towards your goal. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is auditing your progress towards your goal. But before we do the audit, one is making progress towards your goal over the next 4 months is probably the most realistic timeline that you're going to have for a while. Here's why. If you're anything like me, Thanksgiving kind of starts November 1st, right? Thanksgiving starts early with Friendsgiving and celebration this and fill in the blank that. Like, it's just from November 1st to December 31st or January 1st of next year, your attention is going to be elsewhere. And so this is where that period of time, the holiday period of time, is going to be where it's important to practice your flexible eating, your balanced eating, and the holidays is the best time of year to be trying to actively build and retain muscle mass. Why? Because you're going to have all of this influx of carbs and fats, all this extra energy that we want to do something with. We talked about that when I came back from my vacation and told you all what I'm going to do with that extra energy that I had consumed. It's going to the muscle, okay? So during the holiday time, if we want to be focused on intentionally trying to pack on as much or as a little bit of a muscle that we can in the rest of this year, that's how we want to use the holiday time for most people. For most people, that's a really hard time to diet, just because it would be actively going against what the season of your life requires. We talked about that before. For most people, right now is a great season of your life to be trying to make progress toward a body composition or fat loss specific goal. Why? Because hopefully toward the end of the summer, travel is slowing down a little bit. Kids are in camp, school, back to school. Some of y'all are going back. My teachers are going back. I heard Stephanie say she's going back July 15th. Some of y'all are going back top of August. So summer is about halfway through. Okay, so this is a good time to kind of focus in on this goal. So as you're focusing in on this goal, I sent you an email a little bit earlier today around like, how are you feeling in terms of your progress toward the goal? And so you could probably be in like 2.5 camps when it comes to your goal. One is you're totally happy. Absolutely, yes, everything that I expected is happening. I'm losing weight. It's happening sustainably. It's happening right on time. It's happening on schedule. I'm keeping up with my calories. I'm keeping up with my training. I feel great. I'm sleeping well. I can see my body composition changing. I'm changing pant sizes. People are commenting on, you know, how my physical appearance is shifting, how my mood is changing. I'm a happier person. Yes, coach, everything's going great. Never expected it to go this well. Or you could be in the other camp of people who's like, I've done everything. I've done everything that I thought to do to make progress toward my goal. I've been tracking my calories. I have been logging my food. I am participating in the color challenge. I participated in the step challenge. I did Slant 60. My body just will not work with me. I am not losing weight and I am frustrated. This conversation is for you. So if you're feeling frustrated when it comes, if you're feeling frustrated when it comes to your goal, we need to do a bit of an audit on your goal, okay? So here's what that audit is going to look like. First, misconceptions. As we're doing the audit, your frustration might have behind it a story around why something isn't working, okay? You might be telling yourself a story, or you might have heard some stories about why things aren't working. One of the major stories that you may have heard is that you have some hormonal issue, right? Oh, it's perimenopause. It's not perimenopause. Unfortunately, it is not perimenopause. I'll tell you what it is in just a second. It's not perimenopause, because perimenopause doesn't necessarily tack on additional weight. It just changes how the weight is distributed. It focuses the existing body fat into areas that you don't want it to exist, around your hips, waist, belt line, okay? It's not the hormonal changes of perimenopause. The best things you can be doing right now, if you're in perimenopause, are paying attention to your stress and sleep management. That's number one, actually. You need to be calming down, right? You need to be tending to your stress and getting enough sleep in your night. If you need help with that, let's talk about it. In addition to that, you need to be resistance training and you need to be consuming enough protein to support what resistance training is designed to do, which is to cause an adaptation in your body. You're not just going to boot camp class or just lifting weights or whatever just to be throwing things around. We are trying to create an adaptation in your body, and the creation of that adaptation requires protein. Your resistance training, eating enough protein, you're probably cutting back on a whole bunch of refined carbohydrates, you're probably cutting back on your alcohol. It is not perimenopause in and of itself. It's the lifestyle that we've gotten adjusted to after 20 years of trying to focus on this goal, okay? 2, you might have heard that it's your thyroid. If you have received blood work that says your thyroid is perfectly healthy, it's not your thyroid. And by now, you would know if you had a thyroid issue. By now, if it were your thyroid, don't you think you would know, or at least have some inkling that it was your thyroid, okay? 98% of the people who are watching this video do not have a thyroid issue. You may have heard that it is your cortisol, that your stress hormones are blocking fat loss receptors. That is not the way fat loss works. The thermodynamics of fat loss is simply a math equation. The amount of energy in versus the amount of energy that has to go out. Consuming less energy than has to go out is how you create a calorie deficit. It is not cortisol, because if it were cortisol, that would assume that if you were in high stress situations that you couldn't lose weight. Imagine you were in a high stress situation, like stranded on a deserted island. You'd lose weight. Ever watch Survivor? Right? You would lose weight, okay? It's not your cortisol. It's not your hormones. It's not your cat. It's not, the honey, sugar diet. It's none of that stuff. Here's what it is. It is something has gone awry in your nutritional accounting and accuracy. Something in your accounting has gone wrong. Here's the thing from a coach's perspective, right? As a coach, we are trained to understand that the majority of you all are underreporting your food. It's just what it is. I know that. I know you're underreporting, and if you're not, skip this part. But in general, I know you're underreporting, right? Either you skipped a sauce, or you skipped the cooking oil, right? Or you skipped a drink, or you skipped an alcoholic beverage, right? Either you skipped a weekend meal, or you skipped, a girls' night dinner, you couldn't log it appropriately. So what is there might not be all the way accurate, okay? And when you think about creating a calorie deficit, right? So coach, I've been in a calorie deficit, you put me in a calorie deficit in January, I've been in a calorie deficit all this time and nothing's happening. You're not in a calorie deficit then. Let me explain why. If you're in something like a 250 to 500 calorie deficit, which is like modest, right? It's modest, but it'll make something happen. It's about a pound a week. If you're 250 to 500 calorie deficit, and you're in that deficit every day, so therefore creating a 3,500 calorie deficit for your week, right? And then one night, family wants to go for pizza and movie, right? And you do well. You have a salad with some ranch, piece of protein on top, and you have 2 slices of pizza. I didn't even do it aggressively, but you forgot that you also had a glass of wine, right? And then we got to the movie theater, you and partner split a big old tub, extra large tub of popcorn. In that evening, you spent 1,500 additional calories. You consumed 1,500 additional calories. Therefore meaning that if you were only in a 500 calorie deficit every day for your week to create a 3,500 calorie deficit, you have erased 3 days of progress. In pizza and movie night, you have erased 3 days of progress. Okay, let's add to that. Then you go to brunch. At brunch with the girls, pancakes, waffles, chicken, grits, shrimp, fill in the blank, all the stuff that we absolutely love. Bottomless mimosas, because that's what we do at brunch. At brunch, you also consume an additional 1,500 calories on top of your daily calorie allotment. At brunch, you have consumed 1,500 extra calories. Therefore, for the week, putting you at 3,000 extra calories on top of what we had allotted for in terms of your plan. If your deficit of 3,500 calories is supposed to create 1 pound of fat loss, but you ate back 3,000 calories, that means for the week, you were only in a deficit on 1 day. For the week, under this example, You were only in a deficit for 1 day. So here's what we need to do. We need to spend just a week, 7 days, intently mindful of your caloric intake. Here's your challenge. If you are frustrated, which you should be because this is a frustrating process. If you are frustrated and you're feeling like, Coach, I'm doing everything. I'm tracking my food, I'm weighing and measuring, I'm thinking about the stuff, I'm doing my resistance training, fill in the blank. First of all, real quick caveat, ignore entirely any of the caloric data, calorie burn data that comes from your watch or from your phone about your resistance training or your steps. Ignore it. Pretend like it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Because that's the amount of novelty. I don't even know if that's a word. The impact on your caloric burn is so minute that stuff can almost not matter for most people. So, for 7 days, I want you to, one, only eat at home. You buy and prepare your food at home. You cook it, you prepare it, you plate it at home. Every meal, 7 days. Everything that you eat is at home for 7 days. You can do it. It's going to be annoying, but you can do it because 7 days is not very long. Like, we're already 3 days into this week. You can do a 7-day at-home challenge, okay? In addition to that 7 days at home, I want you to weigh on a food scale, an electric food scale in grams. I want you to weigh every item of food that you are consuming for that 7 days. Eat at home, weigh and measure every item of food that you consume, weigh and measure every condiment that you use, weigh and measure every beverage that you drink, soda, alcohol, juice included, protein shakes included. Weigh and measure if you're frustrated with your process. And here is what this will tell 99% of us. This experience of weighing and measuring our food that we're eating at home for only a week will show us that during that week, we have superseded our caloric budget more than we thought possible. Dang! I overate by 4,000 calories this week. During my snacking moment with the family in the evening, I ate 600 calories worth of popcorn and graham crackers. My dark chocolate is 300 calories a serving. The milk that I'm putting into my protein shake is 180 calories. The stuff that we think is minute and small starts to add up. And therefore, if you're frustrated, we need to see what's adding up. If you're frustrated, we're having an accounting issue, okay? Now, with this, all of this, with grace and support and acceptance, this is not your fault. This is where coaching and direction and education and accountability comes into place. If you are not seeing the results that you thought you should be seeing, if you are not seeing the results that you thought you should be seeing at this moment in time, we need to do an accounting audit. You can start that audit before we even connect, okay? If you don't have a food scale, let me know. I'm happy to share with you. If you don't know how to properly weigh and measure your food, let me know. I'm still working out. See, this is why this stuff isn't accurate. I'm still technically working out. I've been driving for 15 minutes. Anyways, good luck with this, right? Let me know how it goes. But as we move into the second half of this year, most of us technically have 4 months to get this right? There's no pressure around it, but if you want to get it right, we need to hold ourselves accountable. We need to hold ourselves to this mental standard, which is if I am accounting for something right now, if I'm expecting very specific results, I need very specific inputs. And as your coach, we can do the very specific stuff, or we can do the very flexible, very dynamic stuff. We can do the very mindful stuff. We can do the very supportive stuff. We can do all of it. But right now, if you're someone who's frustrated with your results, this might be what you need to do. Ignore the workouts, ignore the walking, ignore the whatever, ignore all that other stuff. Focus on your sleep, focus on your hydration, focus on your stress management, and spend a week focused on your food. It's the accountability that some of us need to make this last 4 months worth something, all right? Hopefully this was helpful. Y'all let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll talk to you real soon.